Injured in an accident or on the job due to the negligence of others, know this: your community has your back. Communities look out for each other, and I protect my community. Whether I'm fighting for a personal injury case, medical negligence, or winning the largest civil rights settlement in U.S. history, you will receive personalized and aggressive representation with a goal to maximize your win. Scan now to schedule your free consultation. Osborne and Francis, real tough lawyers.
Yo, what's up? What's up? What's good with you, Chad? How's everything, brother?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Man, ain't nothing, man. We're gonna start off this year. This is the first little throwing of football chop up. You can catch us on YouTube, on Facebook, and all that good stuff. If you're on Facebook right now, you're able to interact and you're able to ask questions. So please do so. Right now we're gonna chopping it up, but we finna. Oh, I see my boy got in the background. We're gonna get to that a little bit later.
Yes,
but
sir.
We definitely got to get to that. But for the people who don't know you and the people who don't know me, I'll start off by introducing myself. My name is A.G. Wasim. I'm the Florida director of the U.S. Army All-American game, now called the Military Appreciation Bowl. Also run a college bus tour for 15 years. Used to do 7-on-7, the only team from Central Florida to win a national championship. I was over that. Nobody else can say that. Now, just want to make sure that we get as much information out and help as many kids as we possibly can. And I got my dog, Chad Mascoe. Hold on, before I introduce him, what's the number one team in college football right now? This is going to kill it too, because I'm from Texas. Yeah.
Look 'em horns, baby.
Yeah. And give a little background about yourself and tell them why I mess with you on that, because for those who don't know, I live in Florida, but I'm from Texas. I'm a proud Texan. But go ahead, man.
So, man, my background to me, man, I'm Coach Mascoe, owner of Athletes United Group, from Kissimmee, Florida. Been doing this for a long time. But yeah, so we started AUG a while back, probably about 2017. We just been going up ever since then, but now we're about to take it to the next level. We don't partner with top recruits with Coach AG. So we're going to take it to the next level. But just real quick on how I met this guy. We're going to get into how.
Are we going to tell the true story?
Yeah, we're going to tell the true story.
Cool. All right, this is correct.
I'm going to tell my story. How about that?
All right.
So, look, the way I met AG, man, it's crazy how things work, man, because, you meet people and then you find out people are actually family with you. That's how me and AG met. So it started off, man, when my son Chad was playing on FBU football, and he was playing with Broward County, right? And somebody lied from Central Florida and said that my son had been practicing and was playing with Central Florida, which was a complete lie, right? So when Chad got to the FBU tournament, I wasn't there. I let him ride up with Coach Maul, and when he got
shout out to Coach Maul.
Shout out to Coach Maul. That's my guy. Yeah. GOAT. That's the GOAT down in Fort Lauderdale.
Thanks.
But we he went with Coach Maul. They was doing check-in. And AG was the director at the time for the regional director for FBU. He was like, "Hey, this kid can't play. He practiced with Central Florida, blah 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 blah." So they were like, "He can't play." Now I'm on the road. I'm probably like in Macon, Georgia at the time, but on the way to Atlanta. And they called me, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Man, they lying on my son." I'm like, "Man, I'll be there. I'll be there real fast." So I end up getting. If you know where Macon is to Gwinnett County.
Gwinnett, yeah. Make sure you tell them that.
Right. So I was in Macon. That's probably about a 2-hour ride. I probably got there about an hour and 15. Just like hammer down. Let me get there. So I get to the hotel where they was checking in. When I get to the hotel where they was checking in, AG wasn't there. He was at the fields. But the other guy from Central Florida, who was the director, who claimed that my son practiced with him, he was there. So I ran down on him like, "Hey, man, you said my son, da-da-da-da." He was like, "Oh, no, that wasn't you." So somebody else had went to the practice and said that they was Lil Chad. So anyways, I get to the field, and he was like, "Well, you gotta go talk to AG, da-da-da-da." So as soon as I get to the field, I'm like, "Where AG at?" He was like, "I'm right here." So we go back and forth about the whole situation, and like I ain't backing down from him, he ain't backing down from me. So then when I forgot what the guy name was, but when he called over there, we're like, nah, that wasn't him. Then we both kind of settled down and we talked it out. Chad ended up playing. But the second day, at the time, there was a quarterback in Atlanta, Harrison Bailey. He was one of the top guys in Atlanta. And Chad was one of the top quarterbacks in the youth league. So AG took a picture with them and posted it on Facebook. When he took a picture and posted with him on Facebook, my auntie Pam saw the picture and she hit me up. She was like, "You know AG?" I said, "Yeah, I know AG." And then come to find out, my auntie counseled him and his wife, you know, before they got married, and they was close like that. So small world, like my auntie, his auntie, it was, yeah.
And we've been tight ever since. So you know, that's a true story. That's a true story. Yeah, no, man. But the most important thing, man, what I always loved about Chad, he's always giving back to the people, to his community. Like, you know, I know he loved that. He probably wouldn't have said, if I asked him this, I don't care where his son was playing, what's the #1 football program in high school in the state in America? He's gonna go with one school.
Osceola Cowboys, baby.
He don't care. He don't care what's going on. That's the one I can't get him to change on, no matter what. Because I knew once he said he was coming back to Florida, he was going to Osceola. I knew that already.
Yeah. But born and raised in Kissimmee, Florida, man. Hey, I bleed blue and gold. I bleed blue and gold, and I bleed wherever college my son's at.
I got to. But like I said, let's get back onto it, man, because I got to tell the people a little bit, and I'm going to take us out for a second. But I'm going to take us out and let you talk a little bit about the Beat 'em and Feed 'em and everything that you know, what that Beat 'em and Feed 'em showcase is all about. I'll remove our
All right,
yeah, go ahead. I'm going to come back to you because it didn't pixelate good enough. But you can tell them a little bit about the Beat 'em and Feed 'em showcase. It didn't pixelate good.
This will be year number. So this is actually be year number 11 of our annual Feed the Homeless preseason classic, but it's actually year number 4 of the Beat 'em and Feed 'em. So we started off as the Feed the Homeless preseason showcase. I started it in Atlanta, Georgia. Then I brought it back down here to Florida. And when I brought it back down here to Florida, we was having success. And I probably did it in Florida about 4 or 5 years. And then I don't know if KJ Ishmael, he's the owner and president of the West Atlanta Jazz. That's like my little brother.
He's a good brother.
We talk a lot. And so basically he was having his Beat 'em and Feed. He was having his showcase tournament. All right, he had them. I think he was like in year number 2 of his showcase tournament, and I was having my Feed the Homeless tournament. And so basically, man, you know, I went to his event. He come to my event. We kind of got together. We was like, listen, why are we having events at the same time? Because I had my event one weekend. He had his event the next weekend. And it was like, you know, it makes no sense to be having 2 different events around the same time. And I'm getting 40 teams. He's getting 30, 40 teams. Why not just put it together and create the best event, you know, in the state of Florida and arguably one of the top preseason showcases in the country. So, you know, sometimes I feel like, you know, we kind of in business, we forget about partnership and doing things together, you know, and that's what me and KJ did. It's bigger than the surface. Like we wanted to get together and put together something, and that's what we did. So we've put in this will be year number 4 that we've done it together. And like I said, we arguably probably have the biggest preseason showcase tournament in the country. Last year we had 83 teams in the tournament. This year we're definitely expecting a whole lot more this year because, again, we've been getting calls from everybody all across the country to come participate. So the purpose of the tournament is the number one goal for the tournament is we raise items to give back to the homeless community in Central Florida. So we have partnered with the Orlando Union Rescue Mission, and that this will be our 4th year partnering with them. And all the items that we receive from the tournament, we would take it up there, and it will feed women and children, displaced women and children that have no homes. All right, so usually in the past, we've raised 1 U-Haul, but this year the goal is to raise 2 U-Hauls of items to be able to supply their pantry for the whole year. So that's the major purpose of the event. Of course, we're going to have great football. We got some great matchups. Already, we got a matchup already with the West Orlando Jags 11U. They're going to be playing Bessemer Tigers. And then we just got confirmation. We got Devin Hester. Devin Hester had his 13U team. This will be their last run before them kids go to high school. They just locked in to play against the Fort Lauderdale Hurricanes 13U. So those are 2 big matchups that we already got, and we're just going to have a whole bunch of them. This year, the tournament is going to be held at Oak Ridge High School. We'll be at Oak Ridge High School, and that'll be July 17th through the 19th, 3 days of great football, great vendors, music. It's just a good family vibe, what we do, for the preseason to come into the season.
So if a parent or someone that sees this broadcast wants to get more information on Beat 'em and Feed 'em, where would they go or who would they contact?
So if you want to get more information on the Beat 'em and Feed 'em preseason tournament, you can contact myself or you can contact KJ Ishmael. Both of us are on social media on Facebook. If you want to contact me, I would prefer you to contact me on our Athletes United group page on Facebook or on Instagram. I'll respond back to you as soon as possible. But if you're a team and you want to register, you can register. You can go to Zorts and search the Beat 'em and Feed 'em preseason showcase, or you can just contact us, contact me or KJ, and we can get you the Zorts link. And the cost is only $75 per team, but in order for you to have the $75 registration, you have to donate at the minimum 2 boxes of items towards the homeless drive. And we are, and I am going to be an extreme sticker about that this year. You have to bring 2 boxes of items towards the homeless drive for the $75 registration. If you don't pay the $75 registration, when you get to the gate to check in, you're going to have to pay an additional $150. We don't want the $150. We want the donations. But again, if you don't bring the donations, okay, we'll just have to charge you $150, but we prefer to have the donations.
And what if somebody just wants to make donations? Because the donations need to be food, and does it need to be like deodorant and soap, or is just all food?
Nah, they can bring deodorant, soap. We take clothes, anything. But I mean, if you're gonna bring food or deodorant and stuff, just make sure it's not used. I mean that goes without being said.
Right.
But if anybody has kids, like coats, stuff like that, those things like that is very important because in these homeless shelters, some of these kids may not have a sweater, they may not have a jacket, right. They may not have any of that stuff. So all that stuff is we take all that stuff in. Again, you can bring the donations to the actual event. We'll have the U-Haul there as well. Oh, and then lastly, I meant to say this too. Another part of the event, the week of the event, we go feed almost about 500 homeless people. Last year, we fed Orlando Rescue Mission, and we also went to D-Land, Florida, and fed a group of a homeless shelter there. This year, we're looking to, we will feed in Orlando Rescue Mission. We were looking to go back to D-Land, and then we're also adding in Daytona. We're also going to go to Daytona to feed a shelter there as well.
Yeah, I challenge. I'll make sure I bring 2 boxes. Even though I won't have a team, I'll bring 2 boxes. I challenge anybody else who sees this to bring 2 boxes to help out. I'll make sure that I do that. Because I think it's definitely worthwhile. And he's only charging $75 a team. For all you people that's out there counting pockets, that's not a whole bunch of money. He's not trying to get rich off of it. He's definitely trying to help the community. So for the rest of us who don't have teams, I challenge each and every one of you at least to donate one box. I think that's really good because they're trying to make sure they take care of people in D-Land, people in Orlando, and people in Daytona and Deltona. So let's make sure that we show people that we care. Anything else you got for Beat 'em and Feed 'em?
Nah, man, just if you're going to register, you better hurry up and register, because once we get to the number of teams that we can hold, see, that's another thing. One thing we're not going to do, we're not going to just take teams just because. Like, that's something that we don't do. We don't just take teams just because. So once we hit the max, we'll shut it down. We're not going to go over the max. So you need to register. You need to register. If you try to wait last minute, right now, at the moment, and we're only in March? So we have April, May, June, July. We're 4 months away, and we already have 35 teams registered.
Well, hey, man, don't get me started, because that's a great segue into what we're going to talk about next, which is the AUG TRN Middle School UCF camp on May 16th. It to me is tremendous because, it's an actual football camp at UCF. The coaches will be the UCF players, a lot of them, and then we have other college coaches that are going to come and help, at smaller schools. But your kid has an opportunity to be seen by the UCF coaches. They ain't finna let kids come on campus and not make sure that somebody's there to watch them.
Right.
It just don't work like that. So because they don't want a kid to be able to say, hey, I was on your campus, and they don't know nothing about it. So, I would challenge each and every one of the parents to make sure that you register now, because like he said, we got 250 spots, and once we get to 250, we pretty much done. And we already at 50 spots, and we ain't really put it out there like that. So make sure that you guys go ahead and register, because if we're not going, I'm telling you, we get to 250, that's it. Because we can only accommodate a certain amount of kids, and and we want to make sure that when you do come out, that you pick up your trash. You make sure that you represent us, make sure we look good. We're gonna have media there, to film it and all that good stuff. But we just need you to make sure that you act like you got some sense when you come to all these events. I mean, the last thing we want is anybody to be at an event and they say that we didn't do what we were supposed to do, because that's really, no one else has ever had. We've had a top recruits that had one before, but no, they don't just give this stuff out to anybody. We were very fortunate. And what was that? Was that January?
January.
We did the
All-Star game.
Yeah. So we went out there and we showed them. We had how many kids?
What? About 400?
350? Yeah.
350? Yeah.
Yeah, so we had 350 kids, and they were able to be taught to by the staff at UCF. They were able to meet a lot of the players, and they were able to see the facilities. And at this camp here, then when you come out, we'll be able to do that. But the only difference in this camp is you're going to be working out and being able to be seen how you really ball. A lot of you 8th graders out there, trust me, they're giving out scholarships, because technically you're going to be in the 9th grade next year. So, make sure that you come out and and do your best. But parents, we this is a great opportunity. What and Chad, just tell them, because I think a lot of people don't know this because he left this out. Where did you play college football at?
UCF, Charge On. I played at UCF, and it means a lot to me to be able to take these kids up there. Well, for us to take them kids up there again, like you said earlier. We did it in January for the All-Star game. Now we're fortunate enough to be able to come back and have a camp over there. And we're going to have some of the athletes that's there helping out with the drills and running the camp and stuff like that. So that's even bigger for the kids. Now, just to piggyback on the camp, we're going to have 2 sessions. So we're going to have the first session will be for 3rd through 5th grade. And then the second part will be for the middle school kids. So again, space is very limited. So once we get to 250, we will shut registration down. I know it's March, so it's about close to maybe about a month and a half, 2 months away. But we're going to shut the registration down. I think what we said, 2 weeks before the camp.
2 weeks before. I mean, because we need to get shirts and all that kind of stuff, and especially with everything going on overseas, we got to make sure that everything's in place. So we want to make sure that we look right, the kids look right, because this will be their first time being in front of these college coaches. They're going to be doing drills that the college boys do. They're going to be, what I love about it is that we do have kids who play the UCF, or who some of the kids are coming home for the summer. They're going to be working out, these kids. Quite frankly, these are like the guys that they should be looking up to, because they all, just like your sons at Texas, my sons at Purdue, they all are, they want to be where these kids are at. So,
Right.
So part of it, they're going to get worked out, but the other part is they're going to be able to ask these kids questions at their position, which is tremendous at that age. Because I don't recall me being able to do that when I was their age.
Yeah, definitely not. Things have definitely changed since we were playing. And I mean, it's changing year. Things are changing year. We're going to get to the whole recruiting piece of this, but things are definitely changing. It's not the same. So you want to make sure that you're getting meaningful exposure. Meaningful exposure. People like to throw the word exposure out there, and it don't be meaningful exposure. So that's what we trying to bring to the table is meaningful exposure, letting you guys get working. I always say this with anything that I do with dealing with the youth and dealing with anything that I've done when I brought coaches in, like we brought in Coach Greg Schiano a couple years back to introduce the All-Star game. But those things are just for a destination point for these kids, like to see where you can be, right? Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a scholarship from this, right? But what it shows you is like, okay, this is where I can be. Oh, I can be here too. And it's something that you can work towards to get. That's why I try to tell the youth kids, you know what I'm saying? Because some people try to reinvent the wheel in one day and thinking, that their kids ain't got a scholarship by the time they get to high school that they behind.
Hold on. I'm gonna cut you off. We're gonna save that for the recruiting talk because you get. Well, we're gonna save some of that because you get hot and heavy. We're gonna come right back to it, but I want to give you a little break. It's okay. I want to give you a little break because I want to tell the people, at all these events, just so that we clear, there's gonna be some good food out there. One of us on here, I won't say who it is, really can really throw down. I'm just gonna show. I can't show his. There's one of us got a thing called Smoke Some Barbecue. I won't say who he is. But he got on some orange right now. Because he probably thinking about the smokiness of the smokiness of barbecue. But tell him a little bit about Smoke Some and where Smoke Some, because you can get Smoke Something. This is a little commercial break, but you can get Smoke Some, during the week or something like that, can't you? Or during the weekend.
Yeah, hey, listen, we do major events. We do any kind of catering, no matter the size. You can follow us on Facebook with Smoke Some Barbecue, and you can also follow us on Instagram with Smoke Something _barbecue. So, like I said, we do. Listen, it's the best barbecue. And listen, I don't like to brag on myself too much, but I got to brag on myself when it comes to my barbecue. All right, you ain't gonna taste no barbecue no better. You understand me? Ribs, chicken, brisket, beef ribs, oxtails, the best. Them people on the internet, man, they ain't got nothing on Smoke Some Barbecue oxtails. I'm telling you, it's like that. Y'all make sure just follow us on social media, and we will always post where we're gonna be for the week. And we cater any kind of events, anything that you need catered, we can provide that for you as well. Yeah. Listen, AG from Texas.
I can attest to, I don't eat pork, but I can attest to chicken, oxtail, and the beef.
Go ahead. I said AG from Texas, right?
And I ain't said that. That's you. Go ahead.
Listen, AG from Texas, and he's big on the beef ribs. So I remember he said, "Look, bro, I'm finna come to your house to get some of these beef ribs, and I'm a sticker now because I'm from Texas, and this is what we do." Man, my boy bit that beef rib, and look, he was in heaven. He was in heaven.
Hey, man, you still got the video? You got the video still?
I got the video. I have to send it to you.
Okay, next week, man. If you send me the video next week when we have our show, I'll make sure that we let people see me eat that beef rib.
I got you.
Yeah, because honestly, that'll speak for itself. We can really honestly say that. But hey, now we got to deal with the commercial break. Let's get into it, baby. You can go ahead and start back because you were saying some powerful things, man. Let me go on back to what you was talking about because you went into something that we both understand this. Like it's almost like remember they used to talk about I'm not just a client, like I'm not just a spokesman, I was a client. We both have been through this about our kids, and recruiting and, seeing people, ahead of them and wondering how that's happening and all that kind of stuff. So tell the people a little bit more about what you was talking about with that, because I can definitely understand where you're going at.
So yeah, man, like I said, we just been talking about recruiting, y'all. Like we just been talking about the recruiting process and people trying to reinvent the wheel or trying to rush the process. A lot of, I look on social media and I don't always respond to things, but I look at it and a lot of people always say trust the process, but then they're trying to rush the process, right? It's like people are I feel like they're trying to get a scholarship, like they're focusing on getting scholarships in middle school or before they get to high school, when your main focus, I feel, this is only my humble opinion, that your main focus, it should be development, right? Developing, honing in on the skill, on your skill set, right? Like all that other stuff is going to come. Because, the truth of the matter is, it is great for these kids to get scholarships offers early. It is absolutely great. But the truth of the matter is, you still got to put film up when you get to high school, right? So you still got to keep developing. You still got to keep developing. You still got to keep getting better. And I think a lot of people, especially at the younger ages, they're chasing exposure on social media and stuff like that instead of perfecting the craft, perfecting the game, learning how to play the game. Because I guarantee you, if you perfect that stuff, it's going to translate to the field on Friday nights. And then it's going to translate when you go to all these camps and go to these different combines and stuff like that. So if you hone in on your skill first, that'll help you in the recruiting thing, because what it is, you're trusting the process. You're locking into the process to get better. So that's the first piece of it from the youth spot. So you go ahead, AJ.
No, only thing I can add on the youth aspect of it is parents. They can't go pro in the 6th grade. They can't go pro in the 9th grade, 10th grade. So what Chad said a minute ago about development, that's a consistent process. They have to get better and develop every day. We all know guys who, in the 6th, 7th grade, everybody thought they were going to be the number one guy in the country, and they weren't. We all know kids who in the 6th, 7th grade, everybody said they were sorry, and now they one of the top guys around. But Chad said at the end of the day, which is true, you got to put in work. You got to, make sure you find yourself a quality trainer, not just somebody who got a bunch of names. Because one thing I see down here is a lot of guys that attach themselves to kids who are already good. And then they'll say, oh, I trained this kid. And, oh, I did this with this kid. See, to me, the mark of a true trainer is not the guys who go to Florida State, Florida, Alabama, because those guys are going to go to anywhere. But if you take a kid that really wasn't that good and get him in a D2 or FCS scholarship, to me, that's amazing. Anybody can take the number one running back in the country who's 6'2", 225 pounds and runs a 4.3. That ain't got nothing to do with training. Mm-hmm. But who takes that kid that, he's a 5'7" corner in 9th grade, and now he's 5'11", 170, and he gets a scholarship to Ferris State, and he wins national championship. Nobody takes credit for him. Now, once he blows up, everybody and their mama's going to try to take credit and try to, become his agent and all that kind of stuff. So,
right.
So that's so middle school parents, the most important thing, and I want you to remember this, it can't be exposure if no college coach is there. It's just that simple. How are you getting exposed if no college coach is there to evaluate you? Unless they're filming it and sending college coaches. But if there's no, now, don't get me wrong, there's a place for camps because you need to know what you're doing before you go into a college coach. So I'm not saying don't go to camp, but understand what you're going for. I mean, there's no way that if a college coach is not there, then how are you getting exposed? Because remember this goes for high school, middle school, transfer portal. There's only two ways you get scholarships. That's either they see your film or they see you live. That's it. There's no other way. They're not gonna give you a scholarship just because I call, Chad called, and yes, people can call and bring attention to you, but trust me, they don't just hand out scholarships and that's what people don't get. I mean, so that's why it's important for you to do the work. Because at some point, because this is what I hate more than anything about this whole recruiting process. A kid to be ranked the all world. He'll go to a school and then he's not what they think he is. Guess what they do? They get rid of him the next year. They get rid of him.
I think that's something that's another thing I think people get misconstrued is when they sign scholarships, they think that's a 4-year scholarship. They have to. I think they don't realize that scholarships are year to year. Year to year, you're evaluated every single year.
Every semester.
Every semester, and the thing is, see, it's different. Of course, it's a lot different now than what it was when I played. See, when I played, if you transfer from one Division I to another Division I, you had to sit out a year, right? So whenever you did your exit meeting, because we had exit meetings when I was in school, but those coaches, it's a business, and they had to say, I can't get rid of 30, 40 kids. They couldn't do that back then because they wasn't going to be able to get in 30, 40 kids.
Correct.
But now, every year, you see a big turnaround with all these different colleges because if they get rid of 30 kids, they're going to bring in 30 more from the portal. You see what I'm saying? So, but I think people they misunderstand what them scholarships is. It's not a 4-year scholarship. It ain't never been a 4-year scholarship.
No.
Every year you're gonna sign that scholarship paper every single year. You're gonna have an exit meeting every single year with them coaches, and then you're gonna re-sign your scholarship. See, and then another thing too, people think that, and they're miseducated on this, is they think all these kids that jump in the transfer portal, they think all those kids are just going to chase a check. And they're going, no, a lot of those kids are forced into the portal.
No. Let's make sure we're clear. 80% of them are forced into the portal.
Right.
Like don't get it twisted. Like that's why it's still close to 8,000 kids in that portal. Because at the end of the day, that's what they're doing. And what people don't understand, and I'm finna blow your mind because I actually talked to a coach a month ago. I might have told you this one though. I was in Atlanta. And I was up there, but they had a coaches thing, and I was up there, and there was a lot of coaches, and we were sitting back talking, and bruh, most people don't know this. It's going to be a lot of kids getting cut in April. It's going to be a lot of kids getting cut in April because guess what? Well, people don't know, and I know this only because I had a cousin that went to Benedict College. That's D2. He's doing visits right now to Western Kentucky, Louisiana Lafayette, because guess what? That portal stuff don't apply to D2 athletes.
Right.
Transfer anytime they want. So guess what bigger schools are doing? Like Kentucky, the schools are reaching out to these kids that play D2 and bringing them up. So guess what that means? They're going to get rid of other kids. So if kids in camp right now, they don't know it, but they fighting for a spot right now. So guess what happened? Well, most people don't know because the portal's set up now, like our sons just transferred to new schools. They cannot jump the portal, period. Like they can't. But if they wanted to cut our sons, they could. And most people don't know that. See, the coaches are not able to cut these kids. And it's going to be a lot of kids that get cut. Because guess what? Everybody got to be down to 125 athletes. That's really the most important thing. Yeah. See, he want to know high school development recruit versus college transfer players in the portal thoughts. That's what I meant to put that up so everybody can see.
So that I mean, that's a good question.
That's kind of what we're talking about. So parents, you better develop your kids because if you don't let them get developed, when they get on that level, right now they cutting kids. Watch. In May, you're gonna see more kids get in the portal. And them kids ain't jumping in the portal. Because guess what? They really technically can't. But guess what's gonna happen? If they put you in the portal, you can then it's okay. You'll be able to go to another school. But I can't go. So what do you think is gonna happen, Chad? I really don't want to be at the school. I done got here. You brought me in 3 wide receivers, and I'm on the 4th string. A kid's just gonna go to the coach and be like, Coach, why don't you just cut me so I can go somewhere else? And guess what the school's gonna do? They're gonna cut him because they don't want him either. So so that just knocks other guys out of that portal. And I brought it up to say this, because we had this conversation too. Y'all better start looking at D2s and HBCUs. Quit snubbing your nose up at them. Because like I just told you, my nephew was at Benedict College, and he didn't want to take that, cried, oh, I got to go D1, blah, blah, blah. I said, man, you got to go where they want you. Now, a year later, he's at Western Kentucky. He's at, he has other schools that are going to be after him. And they're going to give him a little change. So nowadays, y'all need to look at these D2 schools as more as like a feeder program. Because if you don't get the offer you want, matter of fact, I'm going to give you a prime example. And you answer this because your son's in Texas. Do you think it'd be wise for a kid to go to Texas and sit on the bench for you and not play versus go to like Prairie View and start and have some statistics? Which one do you think would be better?
I think it's twofold. So I think if it's a kid like a 5-star kid,
he should go to Texas.
He should go to Texas.
Correct. I'm talking about the 3-star kids.
Yeah, 3-star kid. You was on the board, but a couple of people fell off the board, and they
took you late.
Nah, I would say go D2, or in some cases go JUCO, because you can go junior college and it don't start your clock.
They're gonna fight that, Chad. That ain't gonna never. I promise you. That one ain't gonna
fault, but it ain't fault yet.
Because no, it's fault now. Because I got kids who that all depends on what school you go to. They got the money, the resources to take it up to court. And so that's going to be the big boy schools like Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, schools like that. Every school ain't going to be able to pull that off. The HBCUs ain't going to be able to pull it off for you.
Right.
But the beautiful thing is
going D2 or HBCU for a lot of these kids is ideal. That's a good route to go. People see a lot, and the thing about it is I see it all the time because I work in this youth realm to middle school realm, is that everybody is watching the person next to them recruitment. They play sport, they come up with them and they say, oh, my son played on the team with so-and-so in 8th grade, or my team, da-da-da-da-da. But when you get to high school, the development changes. Everybody changes. Some of the kid that was not that good in youth league may get to high school and develop. You may have developed faster and hit your peak, and this kid's still going up. And now you stay here. And so now they go to watching how they get recruited, why my son ain't getting recruited, da-da-da-da-da. And then, but guess what? Okay, let's say your son is not getting that big D1 offer, but he goes to a smaller school. He goes and plays. In 2 years, now he at Texas.
In 2 years.
Yeah, we done ended up at the same spot. It's just a different route. I had to take my route. And look, I'm gonna be honest with you, that's the route that my son took. My son took that route. Coming out of high school, he was arguably the best DB in the state, probably top 5 in the country, right? Every school telling me this, but they was all questioning his height. They was all questioning his height, how fast he was, right? He got his offer from Rutgers. Rutgers, hey, we love Rutgers. Rutgers was great to us. And it was in the Big Ten, but it wasn't a power Big Ten team. It was a lesser Big Ten team. But guess what? Hey, son, let's go here. I know we go here, we can get on this field right away. And we can play. And we're going to be able to play against all these guys that got these big scholarships, right? And, I mean, you saw what happened. He went there. He didn't play his freshman year because of academics, with the high school stuff. But he started the other 2 years, ended up getting all Big Ten. And guess what? Jumped in the portal. Everybody in the country was calling for him. But he had to take another route. He had to take another route to get to where he needed to be. And a lot of people need to put the pride aside and let the best travel route for your child and for your athlete, and stop comparing yourself or comparing your situation to anybody else.
But see, I'm glad you just hit on something, because we both kind of went through that. As you know, we had this conversation. We'll share it now. But 5 years ago, I don't know if you remember the conversation we had, where we both were sitting there. No, this one you'll remember. Once I said, it's a damn shame. Your son is the best damn DB in the state, and my son is the best wide receiver, and people are questioning these mugs. We had that conversation, and they both had different rides for different reasons. Because your boy, if they don't mess up on his grades, he'd have left Rutgers a year ago, to be honest. But my son had to go a different route because his school, his junior year, they shitted on him. They basically told the whole world he's this bad kid and I was just bad dad and all that. So he had to get it out the mud. But you said something that I want people to understand, because this is the thing that people miss. I can look back on that now and know God was in the midst of everything.
Oh, yeah.
My son needed to be humble, because he knew he was good. He knew he was better, and he was too cocky for me. And, this is me, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So God had to humble him. And just like, your boy wasn't cocky and nothing like that. But, I know you've been preaching to him from day one about them grades, and handling this and handling that. So, and it wasn't his fault. He handled it, but they messed it up. But God knew what he was doing, because who's to say if he goes to Texas out of high school, if that is, that he would have the same success.
Right.
And so, at the end of the day, parents, I said all that to say, you got to trust in God. Whatever God has for your child, he has for your child. It may look like the craziest thing in the world, but I promise you, every time you look up, like every time you when he was in high school, like, Lord, why this happened to my son? These all state. Then he go out to the prime. I'm like, Lord, he can't get on the field. They won't play him, even though we looked at the film and we was talking about it. We could see he was killing everybody. But in fairness to Colorado, he was behind Travis Hunter. So I can respect that too. But now he's at Purdue, and, hopefully we'll have a blessed season. But I tell you, God is in control in the midst of everything. So parents, like Chad said, don't look at anybody else's destination, how they get where they get. At the end of the day, I don't recall kids saying, and you can catch me on this, Chad, if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that Bo didn't grow up his whole life saying, Dad, I want to go to college to get NIL money. I'm pretty sure that Bo was like, Dad, I want to make the NFL. I guarantee it. Because I know that's what, kids say. They're not sitting around, let me say that. The kids because these kids that might be 5 or 6, they might be wanting to get some NIL money, because that might be all they do. But when them boys growing up, NIL wasn't a thing.
I'm gonna keep it all the way 100% with you. When I tell people this, some people don't believe it, but it's just the truth. And if you ever spoke to any of my kids, they'll tell you this, right? Man, we never talked to NFL. Never, not one time. We never, not one time, talked NFL growing up. I ain't even let them talk about it. The only thing I ever told my boys when they were playing these sports was, I want y'all to go to school, get a free education, and graduate and be productive men in this world. I told them that's what we was doing this for. We are doing this to go to school for free, to graduate, and for you to be a productive man in this world. Never, not once talked about the NFL. Never. I didn't even if somebody else said it to them, I killed the conversation, right? Because, all the things that I went through as an athlete put me in position to be able to see the things for them. And, when I came out, everybody thought I was going to the league, but
yeah, you were. You was what? You was what? Let's go ahead. You was probably what, top 5, top 10 in the country?
Yeah, I was all right. Yeah,
Yeah. And, I know you don't want to tell it, but that's okay.
Yeah, but God had other plans for me. He had other plans for me. Like, he had, it was in me to minister to kids and be there for kids, not just for mine, but for every kid I try to get in contact with. I just try to I just want to hold the door for them and just open the door for them and just try to give them opportunities, right? But he had other plans for me. But them other plans with me, you can see it through my kids. You know what I'm saying? You can see it through them. But I never talked to them about the NFL. Even now, of course, it's being talked about, you know what I'm saying, because of the position that Bo's in, you know, but we ain't never talk about it growing up. We never did. I never allowed them to talk about it. And that's the thing where I try to tell other people this, like, man, listen, like, the NFL, man, it's just a lot that got to come with it. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot that has to happen. You see what I'm saying? You in the youth league talking about that? Like, come on. I get it. Y'all want to look to the highest mountains and all that stuff, but, man, keep the main thing the main thing. But I want to say this, though. We was talking about, you know, people not watching what other people doing and you know what I'm saying, concentrating to their own thing. I got this quote that I saw, you know, every morning. I try to get up, I try to read, I try to go work out, I listen to scripture, stuff like that. Just a lot of things I've done with my life that's totally different. And so one of the things I read this morning was, comparison is the killer of all joy. Comparison is the killer of all joy. When you are trying to compare yourself to somebody else, you're trying to do this and do that, you're killing your own joy. You get joy from you doing the work and doing what you're supposed to do, and God blessing you and putting you in position for the things that you have done.
Amen.
You can't enjoy it. You can't enjoy the blessing or see the blessing if you looking at what somebody else got going on. You missing it. You missing the blessing if you watching what somebody else got going on. And then this is the next one, I'm gonna stop preaching. This the next one. Stop looking for the fruit and look and find the roots. So look for the root and stop looking for the fruit. So with all that being said, all this stuff starts from the ground up. It starts from the root. The root is going bear the fruit.
Yep.
But see, we so busy trying to find the fruit that we ain't being engulfed into that root. The root gets it all started. No different from a house. You got to have a solid foundation in order for that house to stay put together when that hurricane comes. No different from the root. We got to find out what's. See, when we be doing stuff, we be having all this. Like, for instance, a kid can have terrible fundamentals in high school, and you can be like, "How long he been doing that?" Man, he been doing that since Little League. Well, that go to root right there. We should have fixed it back then.
Mm-hmm.
But then we let it keep going and keep going and keep going. But see, all that can be translated. We can translate that to sports, or we can translate that to life. But I'm sorry, I'm done.
No. Actually, man, I'm glad you said that, because today, since we're going on today, let me see if I can find it real quick. My son's youth football coach, he used to always, like, my wife, she got mad because he played in the NFL, and his thing was, you can't just be a receiver and not block. That was his thing. So, like, literally, if a side didn't block, he would pull him out the game. My wife be all mad. But see, because I played sports, I understood. Mm-hmm. And so, but they put this about a side up today. They said, Asad Wasim has been nothing but productive since he's been here. Man, very crafty, smooth, catches the ball well. He's going to be very productive for us in the slot, plays hard, blocks on the perimeter. And then I said to him, and I said, bruh, this is what you was trying to tell. I said, I'm going to tell my wife again. This is what he was telling my wife back then. So what you just said about, it starts young, the root, that's what you're talking about. Because he played football with him at 6 years old. Now he's 21. But he played for him for 5 years, and he was dead serious about, if you don't block, I'm not throwing you the ball, period. Mm-hmm. And so he's always been able to block. But with that being said, we didn't took y'all to church today. Y'all have experience. Well, you know what though? I'm gonna be honest with you. That instead of recruit talk, the next one of that gonna be church talk. We're gonna bring you to church. Like we're gonna bring it to you. Like, hey, I'm on that. So because we gonna have something for recruiting for you. Matter of fact, and we had the questions. I took some of the questions and put them up. And if you have questions and you want to talk about it, you can always inbox me on Facebook, and I will make sure that I get that out there for you. Let's see. My boy Vic is up here. Let's see. Yep. Hey, he's right about that. He's right about that. So, yeah, so he's definitely right about that. But so I'm gonna tell all you other parents before we get up out of here. I'm gonna make this one quick because I'm not gonna be. We got a 2026 college bus tour schedule. As those who know, I've been doing college bus tours now for like 15 years. Every 4 to 5 years, I do a major bus trip where we are like traveling. This year, we will be going from Orlando, Florida, all the way to Michigan. I'll spell out. We're doing about 20-something schools from Georgia Tech, Florida State, Purdue, Wisconsin, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State. So it's a lot of schools that we'll be attending. Right now, we have 13 spots left as of today, which is amazing because we're 3 months out. Normally, so I'm just letting you know if it's something you want to get onto, go to toprecruitsnow.com. Also, we will have an HBCU mega camp that will be the day after the AUG middle school camp, where we'll have Morehouse, Tennessee State, Tuskegee, FAMU, BCU, Jackson State, Hampton, and Edward Waters will all be in attendance. It will be on the 17th of May, and it'll be at Ocoee High School. And that will be on the website as well. So you can go to toprecruitsnow.com, and you'll be able to see that. And we tentatively are going to do a 2-day bus tour to the Mercer Mega Camp and Georgia State University. The coach of Georgia State said that pretty much, because, I mean, he's willing to give looks to all of our underclassmen kids. So it'll be a good opportunity for those guys. So that's about it, man. You got anything for the people, Chad?
Oh, yeah, man. Before we go, I want to give a big shout out to we got my boy Jeremiah Wilson at Florida State. He got his pro day tomorrow. He's a Central Florida kid going to the draft this year. Big shout out to Big Zane Durant. Big Zane, man, Central Florida kid. Had the best performance for a D lineman at the combine this year.
Best 40.
Yeah, best 40, man. Hey, so those are 2 kids that I know that's coming out this year. So big shout out to those guys, man, and we wish them guys the best of luck. And if there's any other kids from Central Florida that's coming out to the combine this year, man, hey, good luck to you guys. And it's been a long time coming, man. We wish y'all the best of luck.
That's factual. Pro days are coming up. UCF had theirs today. South Florida had theirs today. We had kids from Central Florida that are participating in them. I'm glad you said I gotta give a shout out to Jeremiah. He probably wouldn't want me to say it, but Jeremiah last year sponsored a kid to come on a bus trip. Zane Durant, family as well. He's done a lot. And of course, we got 1,000 kids, but we definitely want to wish those guys support. One thing I do admire about the kids from Central Florida that have participated in my bus tour, a lot of them have been on either my bus tour or somebody else's tour that I put them on. They all generally give something back to help the community. And for us, whatever you give, we appreciate, and that's my only thing. Like Chad says, and this is one of the reasons I rock with Chad too. We truly give back to the community in ways that we're just not out here just trying to make a buck off of you. We're really not. If it wasn't for a man by the name of Jim Conley who took an interest in me, I wouldn't be able to have a master's degree and do what I do for a living. I have a day job, y'all. So, it's not my intent to try to get rich off these kids because they just trying to get what we was trying to get. That's just the way it was. So if we can help them to be, like Chad said, to be good men, good productive citizens, and hopefully, like I tell them all, I expect them to give back to their community, just like we gave to them. I expect them to do something. I expect them to coach. I expect them to mentor. I expect them to do something. So shout out, once again to those boys. Jeremy, that's my guy, old Jerry. He's something else. And old Zane. I think Zane is cooking with fish grease, coach. I think Zane might go in the first like at least the second or third round.
Listen, man. If they don't take that boy, listen.
Yeah, he could go fish grease. So I'm kind of, and Jerry, this is big for him. I'm gonna pray for Jerry tonight. I'm gonna pray for him tonight because it's big for him. You know, he just need to go out and run a good time. He has 4 years of productivity that he's done. You know what he's supposed to do. So hopefully, you know, God willing, he can do this thing too. But hey, we'll see you guys next week. Next week.
Go ahead.
No, next week we doing what, Wednesday or Tuesday? Because I'm a, you know what though, we can maybe get away with. I don't want to commit to Wednesday because I don't want to commit because I may have something to do. But I could definitely do Tuesday. Okay, but we'll figure it out. We're gonna get with y'all next week. All right, cool. But what did you want to say about his pops, about Jeremy's pops?
No, I talked to his dad, and his dad said that he think he ready. Say he ran a high 4.3, low 4.4 in his combine prep the other day, and said
I expect nothing less. The one thing about them Osceola boys, they can run. Like I ain't never known a DB who can run, going all the way back to Carlos Becker. Shout out to the GOAT, Dominique Lee. You know, rest in peace.
Yes,
you know, so I ain't never known the boys not being able to run. So hey, that that's part of it. You know, y'all might not be chasing rabbits, but y'all be chasing the oxtails to cook in your food or something like that.
I mean, boy, we in apartments.
Yeah, y'all doing your thing. Yeah, y'all doing y'all thing. But hey, we appreciate y'all, man. We'll do this every week leading up to the event. And the guys, like we said, hey man, please go out and register for the middle school camp sooner than later. And thank you guys for everything. All right, y'all be good. Peace out. Yep. All right, so we are done. We are done.